And so this morning I want to talk to you about little is much when God is in it. Little is much when God is in it. You see, in those days, God was in it. Little was much. And so, my mind is going back. And I think we all need to go back, because before we can really go forward, we need to go back. And when we reassess where we have come from and where our direction is today, then I believe we need to really get a lot of things resettled in our hearts and minds. You see, the world keeps saying to us that bigger is better. Smaller is not good. The ungodly believes that more is better and less is not good. There is strength in numbers, and the few becomes very unimportant. That the rich and the famous are more important than the poor and the insignificant. This is the way the world and the philosophy of the world is guiding our minds today. And so I believe we have a lot to think about and a lot to come back to. Let's just firstly turn to the first book of Corinthians, chapter 1. And let's read together verses 25 to 29. Because the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. For consider your calling, brethren, that there were not many wise according to the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble, but God has chosen the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. And God has chosen the weak things of the world to shame the things which are strong. And the base things of the world and the despised, God has chosen. The things that are not, that He might nullify the things that are, that no man should boast before God. God is up to something in our lives. And so God wants to do something in our lives. But as long as our mindset and our thinking and our worldview is being shaped by the world, is being shaped by Western theology, is being shaped by the media, then we're not being shaped by God at all for the future. And so the truth of the matter is, very much in the church, bigger is better. Number is so important. And that is why we have so much of charismatic lying and cheating. Everybody has thousands of people in the churches, and everybody is a prophet, and everybody is planting hundreds of churches, simply because big is better, and more is better, and rich is better, and great is better. And so we have now taken this and applied it to our lives. But there are instances in the Bible that proves that little is much when God is in it. And this morning I want us to really get back to the Word. Forget about the media. Forget about what the world is saying to us. Forget about what the papers are saying and the television is saying and all these televangelists are saying. Let's get back to the Word. The great issue is having God in everything that we do and say. Let's look at Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 16. Proverbs 15 and verse 16. Better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasures and turmoil with it. Better is little with the fear of the Lord than great treasures and turmoil with it. I want to illustrate this for you with a couple of examples from the Word. And my first is John chapter 6, verses 1 to 13. And here I would say, a little bread is much when God is in it. Sometimes we want a lot of bread, but a little bread is much when God is in it. Turn to John chapter 6 and verses 1 to 13. After these things, Jesus went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, and a great multitude was following him because they were seeing the signs which he was performing on those who were sick. And Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. Now the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was at hand. Jesus therefore, lifting up his eyes and seeing that a great multitude was coming to him, said to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread that these may eat?" And this he was saying to test them, for he himself knew what he was intending to do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, for everyone to receive a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "There is a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are these for so many people?" Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, in number about 5,000. Jesus therefore took the loaves, and having given thanks, he distributed those who were seated, likewise also of the fish, as much as they wanted. I like that. As much as they wanted. There was no holding back here. And when they were filled, he said to his disciples, "Gather up the leftover fragments, that nothing may be lost." And so they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves, which were left over by those who had eaten. And so folks, here we see in the midst of the Lord's ministry, there was a big problem. Multitudes of people had gathered in the desert place to hear Jesus speak. And what we hear from other versions and other accounts of this great example and illustration is that the people stayed on to listen for 3 days without going home. Now that became a major issue because after 3 days people are very hungry. And they had nothing to feed them. Finally they tracked down a little boy who had his little lunch. A little lunch for a little boy. And that's all they had. And the Lord said, that's okay. Get the people to sit down. John tells us in his account, 5,000 hungry men were counted. Now, we have few men here. And I can tell you that these few men will gobble up many loaves of bread. Ask them. But 5,000 hungry men, you would need a minimum of 5,000 loaves. Is that true? Yes, sir. 5,000 hungry men. I mean, I don't want to ever have 5,000 hungry men before me. It's very dangerous. And now we're not counting women and children. I mean, that's another equation altogether. We have Matthew's account about the same story, chapter 14 and from 21 onwards. Here, it makes it clear that we do not include the numbers for women and children. So safely, according to our mindset, not the Western mindset now, the Western mindset will say 5,000 men, there's 5,000 women. And then maybe 10,000 children. That's the Western mindset. Okay? I want you right at the outset, we need to let go of our Western mindset if we're going to really understand a lot of things. Outside of the Western mindset, it's not 2 children, at least 5 children. You're very serious about that. Yeah, it's a serious matter. So we got how many thousand children? If we had 5 for each family, we got 25,000 children. Put on your mindset. In Africa, in Asia, you don't have 2 children. We believe big is good. Many is stronger. And so we're looking at 25,000 children and 5,000 men and 5,000 women. We're looking at around about 30,000 to feed. 30,000. Can our minds really understand that? And yet our Lord was able to feed all of them with 5 loaves and 2 fishes and still have 12 baskets full as remainder. Again, put on our Eastern or African mindset. It's not enough just to eat. We must have our parcels to take home. And that is why we got 12 baskets full, because everybody wants to take some sandwiches home. We've always got somebody at home that needs some food as well. Although we are a big number here already, we always got somebody at home that needs food. And so we always want to take some parcel home and give. This takeout thing started with us. And so we always like to have a little takeout parcel. But it was a little bit of food. A food just wasn't sufficient for a little boy. But more than 25,000 people were fed. A little bread is much when God is in it. Amen. I want you to know today, no matter what your circumstances are, if God is in it, little will go a long way. Amen. You don't have to look over the fence. You don't have to look at other people and what they got. If you've got Jesus, He will satisfy. He will take care of every need.